What an electric game on Christmas Day. Like, whether you're a Sixers fan, Celtics fan, neutral, I know you enjoyed that one. But let's get down to the most important part. The Sixers win 118-114. And you know what, yeah? This win could be a catalyst for change in the Sixers season. But there's a lot to dissect. There's a lot to talk about. And it's more than just a win. Where do I even start? So obviously Tyrese Maxey was phenomenal this game. Caleb Martin stepped up big time. But there were key components to take apart from this game. So first of all, the Celtics are such a weird team to play against. Chucking up threes, settling for threes all the time. This is the one time where Nick Nurse's preferred lineup using Yabusele at the 5 actually works. Because you've got a team who are literally avoiding applying rim pressure because they're sitting at the 3-point line. So when they're misfiring now, you have opportunities to go on the other end, quick fast break opportunities. You've got a switchable 5, so it kind of worked. The Sixers went on plenty runs, not plenty, but 2 main runs, especially in the second quarter, with the 5 of, I believe, Tyrese Maxey, Caleb Martin, Kyle Lowry, Kelly Oubre, and Yabusele. Why? Because whilst the Celtics weren't connecting, we were going on the other end, being able to space the floor, be up and down the court, allow Tyrese Maxey to get a rhythm. Now, obviously, it was apparent that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown weren't going to misfire the entire game. That's why in the third quarter, I believe Jaylen Brown might have had 12 or 13. They're 2 star guys, and Jason Tatum as well started to really heat up, make some seriously tough shots, although he gets away with some serious stuff like pushing off of defenders, but whatever, he had a good game. But overall, we knew the Celtics weren't just going to keep missing like the whole game. That's not what they've been about this whole season. So Nick Nurse did 2 things which I was kind of impressed by. I don't know whether this was coincidental or he adjusted. And what makes me say that is he kept that lineup in for like an extended period of time at certain spurts, which I know he didn't intend on doing. But again, I'm going to be a bit all over the place because I'm just attacking whatever comes to my mind. When the Sixers first created that lead in the second quarter, it was with that 5. I explained why that happened because of the pace of the team. Tyrese Maxey was able to just continuously go at them and just get to the rack, was heating up from 3. And Caleb Martin was being heavily disrespected to start off the game. But he continued to connect and connect and connect. Obviously, we know he hates Boston, apparently, from what we saw when he was with the Heat. But he was huge this game because without him hitting threes, that may not have opened the game up for Tyrese Maxey the way it did. My slight bone to pick now is this, right? I'm not going to really comment on Joel because I think Joel was actually fine overall. It's just his play style. He's a bit slow. So there's certain times where the game's fast-paced. You may want to keep Joel on the bench for a bit longer, which is what Nick Nurse did today. My issues with Paul George. He was terrible. And it goes beyond from his shot just not falling. I'm not going to talk about him being 4 on 15 and over 7 for 3. It's the pace he plays at. A lot of fans last season complained that Tobias Harris was a quote-unquote ball stopper. Meaning there were several possessions where he'd get the ball in the mid-post, slow the game down, take a turnaround jump shot, break the shot, or take 2 many dribbles, slow down the pace of the offense, and he's not even converting. Well, that was Paul George today. And it was tough to watch. Very, very tough to watch. He was so out of sorts, out of rhythm, missing open shots. And I understand you have days like this, but it was just an ugly watch. In a game where overall you're supporting players like Yabusele connected from 3 today, Caleb Martin was warm, Joel Embiid, he's not a supporting player, but he was cash from 3. Maxey had a decent day from beyond the arc, was shooting the ball well. And then Paul George just slowed the game down. I'm not a huge plus-minus guy, but just to back up what I was saying, right, when you've got the lineup of Tyrese Maxey, Yabusele, Kyle Lowry, Caleb Martin, etc., they're all +8s, +7s, +11s, all that kind of stuff. They're +20 for Gershon and Kyle. But then you've got Joel Embiid and Paul George who are both -18 and -16. Again, I hate plus-minus. It doesn't really reflect anything to do with the game because I feel like Joel Embiid was overall fine. But it just shows that when they went on the run was when those 2 guys were sitting because the pace of the game was just up, down, up, down. If I were Nick Nurse and I saw Paul George so off, I would have maybe tried to include him in that fast-paced lineup with Tyrese Maxey to try and see if he can catch up with that pace and maybe get a rhythm in like a transition-based offense. But that wasn't the case. And maybe rightfully so because we ended up winning the game. But his lack of just asserting himself in this game was definitely alarming to me, but not alarming in the sense where you're going to have off nights, but it's just the way he was off. I don't know. Very Tobias Harris-y, if you get what I'm trying to say. But like I was saying, back on this Boston team, right? You had a team who you combated them well. They're going to look to shoot or outshoot you from 3, meaning there's going to be spurts where they're completely off. spurts where they're hitting everything, i.e. the third, end of the third, start of the fourth quarter, then they're going to have spurts where they're off, i.e. the start of the game. Now, you have to kind of match their tempo, because there was a period of time now when the Celtics realised, hang on a minute, Yabusele is the only interior presence, which isn't really much for shot blocker, and we're missing threes. Then they started to apply rim pressure. Jason Tatum driving, Jaylen Brown started to drive, but that was only after an extended period of time. They didn't go to that directly. But then when they did, I noticed he put Joel back in the game. So I'm just wondering, did Nick Nurse do that because he saw a shift in how they were starting to get inside? Or was that part of his fixed rotations? Now, I say this because Nick Nurse has tendencies to try new things. He also has tendencies of being extremely stubborn. Against a team like Boston, who mix things up and are a very unorthodox team to scheme against, it's important that you do certain things according to the lineups that you're given. So I'm actually happy there was that extended period of time in that run the Sixers went on, I believe at the end of the third, start of the fourth, where Joel Embiid and Paul George did not come on the floor because the lineup you had at the time were doing extremely well. You know, Doc Rivers, I'm not to go into the past, would have just been like, okay, the scheduled time for Joel to come back in is now, let's mess up the momentum. No, I'm happy he let the guys roll and continue to build that lead, because when they came back on, that's when Boston started to come back in the game, because again, they're spacing the floor, switchability kind of goes, they start knocking down their shots. Silly mistakes are made, silly turnovers by Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey had a few, Boston are back in the game. But if Nick Nurse didn't allow those guys to roll, the Yabuseles, Tyrese Maxey, Kyle Lowry, you know that lineup I'm talking about there, if he didn't allow them to roll for the amount of time they did and brought Joel in early, there may have been more mistakes. I'm not saying Joel solely, I'm talking about that lineup now. There may have been more mistakes. Two reasons, because Joel was sitting for so long, meaning he's out of touch, out of rhythm. He's going to be a bit slow to get in there. Paul George was off anyway, so bringing him back on the floor is not going to do much. He's going to have to get back into the rhythm because he's cold, coming off the bench, and he was cold all night. So the fact that he let that unit roll for a bit longer may have been his saving grace and what led the Sixers to win this game. Because if he brought them on a couple minutes before, mistakes would have happened. Boston's run would have may have happened earlier, and they might have won this game. There was periods in this game where you thought, oh, they've got a 14-point lead. Nope, Boston hit 3 threes, they're back in it within 5. Or you think the Sixers are about to put the game away, silly mistake, open 3. Or contested 3 even. Boston are a team which you can't really count out. That's why you've got to be on your toes when it comes to making changes, rotating guys, and adjusting your scheme. And I think Nick Nurse did a very good job of that today. However, I just want to highlight one thing, right? Obviously, Jared McCain is probably going to miss the rest of the season. Get well soon to the guy. But I hope this game is a catalyst for the Sixers seasons to kick on, because this is the third game that Embiid, Maxey and PG have been able to finish the game together. That's insane, because the midway point in the season is fast approaching, but hopefully a win like today can help them to build on and catch up, because I believe they're only 6 games below 500 on about to go on a 5-game road trip. Win 5 straight, you're damn near 500. You're back in it. So that's what I'm trying to say. Hopefully this is a game to push on. This is the first game where I can say the guys that I realistically want played. Obviously, minus Reggie Jackson and Kyle Lowry, even though they weren't bad, just ideally not. But with the injury to Jared McCain, flipping Eric Gordon is awful, even though he wasn't able to play today, he was hurt. Andre Drummond was hurt as well, so he wasn't able to play. But other than that, the main guys being able to play and gelling together, and a win like this, hopefully they can kick on and continue to progress the way we expected the Sixers to bounce on as well. You've also got guys like Kenyon Martin Jr., who has his contract, even though he's been playing really well. If they pick up pace, the Sixers have assets, there's things to do. There's more things for Daryl Morey to work with, even though I believe he's close to being on the hot seat. I personally think he's a great mind, but great man's got to start producing, otherwise that's when the pressure kicks on, that's when your job starts being in jeopardy. But there's a lot of things that could go right or wrong with this team. They could go down one path, which is kick on, go on a nice win streak, and hit pace by the All-Star break, then continue to push on and be a top 4 or 5 seed. I believe that's still in the window. That could still happen. Or the main guys keep getting hurt. Joel, obviously, he's not going to play every game, same as PG, but if they can be on the court together a lot more, they can definitely progress on. And I feel like a win like this today kind of sets the staple for where the Sixers could be. This shows that they're not far away. I'm not going to just contextualize one game and be like, yeah, they're up there with Boston. No, Boston is still a better team. But it just shows you that the record obviously doesn't reflect the standard of this team fully healthy. It's just about us being healthy enough to build up wins, pick up momentum, build chemistry, so we understand how to get Paul George in rhythm more. Or Nick Nurse understands, all right, cool, to get Tyrese in rhythm more, maybe I need to stagger the lineup so he's in the lineup with like the Yabuseles, Kelly Oubre's of the world. And then when he's back on the floor of Embiid, he's already got a rhythm, so the offense is more dynamic. Can run more pick and rolls with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, more dribble handoffs between the two, or just overall, because he's in rhythm, he can be another offensive option other than just standing there cold hands, hasn't found a rhythm. So there's certain things that Nick Nurse will only find out with them guys playing together, and that's why I have a lot of hope. I believe they can do a lot this season, and we'll just see. But like I said, great game on Christmas. Merry Christmas to you all, and we'll see where this roster takes us. Shout out to Caleb Martin, the Celtics killer, the Celtics kryptonite. But we move on to the next game, and I'll see you guys then. Take care, like the video, subscribe, comment, all the other stuff there. Great upset on Christmas Day. We move on to the next one, and let's just hope this team doesn't keep killing us at random moments, and hope for more joyful, surprising wins like this one. Well, surprising air quotes. But thank you guys so much. Stay blessed, and once again, Merry Christmas.